That's it. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Support local. Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Charles, West USA Realty, T-Minnick, and I'm here again just showing you all the cool people and the cool places here in the West Valley. I'm here with Justin and Paulie here at TCBC, Transplant City Beer Company. You guys want to say hi to the people?
Hello, people.
So I do this show just to give people a little bit more insight on the local actual humans and people here in the West Valley, why it's so cool. And I wanted to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. You've poured some beer here for me, so they may know what the video is about, but I wanted to ask for you to describe your business to the people and what you do.
Sure. So we are a nano brewery. We've been in operation here in Litchfield for about 3 years now. We're coming up on our 3-year anniversary. And yeah, we brew some great beers. We brew a very wide variety of beers. Justin here handles the vast majority of the brewing. He is the master behind it all. And yeah, we just have a nice little place to come in, say hello, and meet some people.
Yeah, a brand new place. Some people may have seen the old video. It was a smaller shop, but now you guys have moved over. Very far move.
Yeah.
I think a wall.
Huge distance.
Was the distance.
Yes.
Yeah. An alleyway. We
Yep.
call it the alleyway. There's a 20-foot drive in between us.
Oh my goodness! But your place is so much bigger. You have so much more cool stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you guys? Are you excited about the new place? Is it a lot more demanding?
It's exciting, and the best way that I put this is, very thankful for the previous spot. If you've all been here, if you haven't been here, I'm going to describe it in one really easy way for you. Our entire spot previously for 2.5 years-ish was smaller than our entire new patio here. So our entire new patio here is literally, I think it's 7 square feet bigger than our entire brewery was next door.
That's crazy.
And if you look at it, it's still nice and quaint indoors, but outdoors the patio is ginormous. So it's, I put it that way because people look at the patio and they're like, you had a whole brewery that was smaller than that patio. So it's along the lines of kind of visual craziness.
Yeah, very nice.
And we have a lot of memories in that place, a lot of love for that place. It's a lot like your first house. You know, your first house isn't necessarily your best house. It's not your favorite house, but it's your first house. You're always going to love it, always going to have a soft spot for it. So we definitely have a soft spot for that place, but we're pretty happy to be in the new place.
Yes, very quaint, the old place. So I do have a list of questions here, and guys, I'm not going to pretend I don't have these memorized, so you're going to see me checking my questions that I already wrote down, so I am prepared. But I wanted to ask you guys, how did you guys even get started into doing this?
Long story short, my wife got a job at Amazon. She just passed her 10-year anniversary, so she got hired a few months before that, but her start date wasn't, for a few days, and they gave her a hiring bonus. And with that hiring bonus, she bought me a homebrew kit. And
Wow.
I don't even know if I wanted a homebrew because, like yourself, I'm a bourbon guy, and back then I was a Scotch guy. And everybody knows that story of why I'm no longer a Scotch guy.
I heard that story.
Yes, you did.
If you don't know it, come in, we'll tell it to you.
Don't cut yourself short either. You're a master brewer now too.
So
Last weekend or the weekend before.
We did a brew day, so there's this event that's coming up. It's going to date the video one day. We'll put a link so you guys can see it. But part of the brewing, I signed up. I didn't even know this. Like these guys didn't even know I was signing up. But it was like a super VIP because I'm local. I live here too. Like I love this stuff. I signed up for this like super VIP, and part of it was you are a part of the brewing process, and you come up to a brew day. And you brew the beer, which at the time I didn't know, but this dude starts work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So we were here at 6, and it was like super awesome. Me and my wife came down, and it was amazing. Dude.
What did we brew? Tell them what we brewed, man.
We brewed, I don't know what we brewed. We drank a lot of the brew that day.
We brewed a salted chocolate caramel brown.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we put caramel candies, sea salt,
The
husks, the cacao nib husks.
Yes.
I think you dumped a bunch of those in.
Yeah, I remember stirring them up
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, so it should be good. It's a brown ale with sea salt, caramels, chocolate. Yeah,
I probably have some video we could show too.
you definitely do.
You did good work.
I do remember. Thank you. We'll find out, right? I do remember the Scotch toddy. That was amazing.
That's pretty great, right?
That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So he not only makes beer, guys, but he makes really good mixes of drinks. So tell them if they don't know what that is.
Yeah, so a hot Scotchy. It's a hot Scotchy, and what it is it's something in the brewer's world. When you collaborate, you cheers with something that includes beer, but it includes some generally Scotch, but we use bourbon because it's nobody really likes Scotch anymore except for this guy and maybe this guy. But what you do is you take your pre-fermented wort, which is beer before it's beer. It's basically sugar water is what wort is. So it was brown because we made a brown. If you're making a lager, it's clear, it's lighter. But you take basically like an ounce of bourbon with a couple ounces of your wort, and it sweetens it up because the wort is sugar water before the yeast eats the sugars. So it's sweet and hot because it's before it becomes up to a boil. So it's warm, it warms your insides. It's almost like you should be drinking it, in the winter season, but we don't have winter here, so we just do it whenever. But when you collaborate, you cheers with everybody that kind of helped out, and you drink it down. You sip it. You don't have to pound it, but it's only a couple ounces, but it's a mix of bourbon and sugar water before beer, and it's actually really good.
It was pretty awesome. It was like, from somebody who's not a sweet drinker, like it was amazing. And I don't know if it's because it was 6 o'clock in the morning and I hadn't had breakfast, but after that, everything was even better than what it was too. Yep. So, but we'll get back into the questions here.
I didn't want to step on your toes. I just didn't want to take away from the fact that you're a brewer, man.
He's being generous. He oversaw the whole process. So if you're thinking of trying this beer, it's going to be good because he did do it and not me. But it was pretty cool. So we talked about you getting started. So it sounds like your wife is the culprit.
Yeah, she's the culprit. It all leads back to her because like I said, I don't even know if I wanted to homebrew. I'd maybe thought about it or something. And she bought me the homebrew kit, and I brewed a couple batches that tasted like absolute hot trash. But I thought I liked the process. I've always loved chemistry. Chemistry was my favorite subject pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
History as well, but chemistry is like, it just comes naturally for me. So
I would not guess that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I don't look like I'm
You gotta be.
And so upgraded equipment, not a huge upgrade, more like, instead of this all-in-one thing, went up to like a couple buckets and a better boil kettle and whatnot, and started bottling my home brew. And I met Paulie at a Coyotes game, and we were basically talking like, let's hang out. He invited me to a pool party, and I brought bottles of my home brew. I think I brought a 6-pack or a 12-pack or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was an array of things. I brought over like my amber, my vanilla bean porter, and the chocolate stout, right?
Are any of these available? Like here?
The only one, no, I don't think any of those are.
No, not
yeah,
the
those
recipes,
were. Yeah, they've migrated, like they've merged into other things. But now that I think about it, I should redo that vanilla bean porter because that was actually really good.
That was tasty.
But I did just a regular chocolate stout back then, and that's what was known as Booze Hound was back then, because I named this beer after my black lab, Seau, and that merged into what is now known as Booze Hound or Black IPA.
Okay.
So the names have changed on beers, but essentially it's the same thing. But so a couple years had gone by, and went to this pool party at his house, and he was like, "Where'd you get this at? I want to buy some." I was like, "I made it." And he, if I remember his words correctly, he was like, "No, you didn't make it." And I said, "I did make it." And he didn't know you could homebrew. He didn't know you could make your own beer.
Yeah.
Not something that he just didn't know. He just didn't know about it. He just didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And so I told him, well, it's been a couple years. I think at that time it had been 2 or 3 years. since I first started brewing.
See, I got pretty good at it.
I got pretty good at it, but I also got really tired of it.
Really?
Because it was just like, I was working, oddly enough, I work more now, but I actually brew the beer now. I was working for a construction company like 70 hours a week, sometimes even more than that. And so just with that, and my girls were young at that time, and I just didn't have time to keep homebrewing. And that happens to a lot of homebrewers. They just get burnt out. They get tired of it.
You've been through a brew day. You know how long of a day that is. So when you're doing that on top of all that work, it's exhausting.
That's true.
Family life, everything, you know. And he was like, well, before you stop brewing, show me how to do it, and then I'll brew, and then you can come over and drink my beer. And that turned into this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We had a lot of fun with
short.
it. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with it. It became lighter. His girls obviously grew a little bit, and we found it to be more enjoyable. So
yeah, you get more time.
My girls now serve here. Well, my oldest one is now a junior in college, but she served here before she went to college, and my youngest one, Nevaeh, should be here by 1:30. If she's not, she's fired.
So it's becoming a family business. That's so cool.
Essentially,
Completely.
because then his son's going to be, 21 before he knows it.
yeah, we're gonna stick him in here too. So
How old is he now?
6.
6? Oh my
So.
goodness. So that's
Goes
very
quick
nice.
though.
You wouldn't think a 60-year-old man has a 6-year-old kid. Huh?
Oh my goodness. So Paulie is not 60,
No,
guys. So when it comes
but I look
down,
good for 60.
yeah, 59. So, but what it sounds like you guys kind of just became good friends, and this was a passion, and that's probably why the beer tastes so good. This wasn't like, I'm trying to make a business or anything. It was like, let's make something that we love.
It's never. I never wanted to own a brewery, to be completely honest. I was never something that I had even thought about. I just wanted to brew for friends. We were brewing for friends' weddings and birthdays and stuff like that. As more of a, here we can brew beer. Don't go buy macro beer, buy micro and have it for your wedding. And
Did it as presents and sort of a congratulations
Yeah.
with everything.
And
so
But if it sucked, then it probably would have died out. But
Yeah.
it's so good.
that was the whole thing, because at the weddings, it was like, it's one thing, and I say this a lot, so it's like I don't think you can say beating a dead horse anymore, but it's that, two birds with one stone thing, where your friends tell you that your beer is good, and if you don't hear from anybody else, it's probably generally bullshit.
because your friends are always going to say, they're not going to say, hey, your beer sucks.
Yeah.
You guys have really good friends.
Yeah. But when you hear it from strangers on multiple occasions that, hey, you guys should think about opening a brewery, I remember that first instant, I looked at Paul and I was like, either they're really good liars too, or maybe we have something here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But going back to the passion thing, like, I love brewing beer. I love it. I don't drink a lot of my beer, but I love brewing it. I love seeing the smile on people's faces. But another big thing is that we talked about this. We've been like going through memories and all this stuff lately, and I don't know how I don't know how I got lucky enough, because this is something weird that we were talking about. Is they say not to go into business with your friends, and everybody told us that, don't go into business with your friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because we had only been friends a few years that I don't think that we cared. I don't know what it was.
But
we became amazing friends through the process. I think we've maybe argued twice this entire time.
Yeah.
And that's going back. I mean, that's even going back, like, other than how crappy his football team is, but at least he has a football team.
I was going to say, it's mostly because we're not friends.
Yeah,
That's mostly the
yeah.
reason.
It's more like
works out.
it's like I'm working with my grandfather. But in all honesty, they say that you shouldn't go into business with your friends. I don't know how we got lucky, if whatever that 1% is, but
It works.
it works perfectly.
Yeah.
We don't ask each other to do what we know that the other can't do, or is just out of bounds for the other person. We stay within our boundaries. We don't, sometimes I make him do some weird stuff, but it's
Hey, it's fine.
but it's like, I don't know, man. But I am thankful. I don't know why other relationships with friends don't work out, business relationships. Maybe one's just more of a dick than the other, and that it does happen in this friendship.
Yep.
One is definitely more of a dick than the other. but it worked out perfectly.
Our families are close. Our
our
families get
families,
along great. It's our relationship works, so that's
always
really
good,
important.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, when you talk about the beer we brewed as home brewers, we've talked about the wedding and things. That one of the beers we did, I think, honestly, even before the weddings, I could be wrong, but when my son was born, instead of handing out cigars, we actually brewed a beer to hand out for my son, and that was the first time we made a label for our beer. And it's a beer we still occasionally make that's really, really popular and things. So yeah, it's a little bit like friends. It's a little bit like family. It's a great thing.
And that's huge because every beer has meaning. Even Booze Hound, like it comes from a place that's inspired, and it goes through this process versus you're just bottling up some stuff to sell or some junk like that. So you know, it comes through, guys. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
like,
there's a ton of love in this whole endeavor.
Yeah.
It's not just, we're here almost all the time.
And it's not just us, by the way. We our staff that we hire, it's very important that they fit that role too, that they have just as much care and passion for the community and for our customers and for everything as we do. It's important that they fit that same.
And the first time I came here and it wasn't you guys, it was somebody else. I was like, who's this guy? But I've been seeing this same gentleman. I'm like, oh, he's part of the family now.
Yeah,
I see him on posts and stuff like that. So you can feel it. It really comes through.
Yeah, that's and even Randy. I'm assuming you're talking about Randy.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Randy's family. All of our families in Randy's family. We're all really
fits
close.
right in with it,
I mean, Randy's been one of my best friends for just as long as Paul. Randy is my best friend, and he's our manager. If he weren't here, I don't know that this would all work because he's
He's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Huge part of it.
You guys have good people.
Yeah,
So-
and that extends to our customers too. One of the things that we're really lucky in, we don't have sports and things because we like the interaction between people, and our customers are big ambassadors for us. As soon as someone new comes in, they're like, "Hey, come in! You're gonna love this place. Hello!" It's really it's a great atmosphere. It's a great feel.
That's very true.
So.
Especially with and then actually that was my next question. It's about the customers, but one thing I've noticed coming in with my wife, with this crazy climate, no mask, and COVID and all this junk. I don't even think you can say that. We have to bleep it out. But it's always been a very warm and welcoming environment, not just from you guys, but the people here.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some posts about that you put down, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to handle it. And it was just very well received overall. So when it comes to your customers, this is a fun little trivia question. Have you had any strange requests of certain beers to make from your customers, things like that?
I'm gonna name Christian specifically.
I knew that's where you were going. I knew exactly where you were going with it.
Christian Slifer.
We're going to tag Christian in this video.
This guy, since day one, I think even maybe before we even opened, because we've been friends since before we opened. He's been on me to brew a peanut butter pilsner.
Okay.
So it would basically be like a Czech lager with peanut butter.
Oh my goodness.
And every time he comes in here, he won't shut up about it.
Literally every
ready.
time. We love you, Christian.
He has
But
this
literally
great
every
idea.
time.
He wants to get it out. Okay.
Yeah, we get some weird requests, but that one by far is. The more and more that I think about it, it sounds really, really good, but
He's just wearing you down, man.
I mean, he's chopping me down.
We're going to get it done. It's going to happen.
So, very nice. What are you going to name? You have to name it after him now. We just talked about naming
Probably be
things.
something to Slifer.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
I don't know.
That's our names come kind of on the fly. We just kind of generally what will happen is the three of us, Justin, Randy, and I will sit down and we'll just be like, what do we name this? And we come up with, we like to think we're clever. We like to think that we're innovative. We come up with the dumbest names you could possibly have. So,
But you remember them, like the
They do.
pepino and all
Yep.
that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about you guys specifically. Where are you from originally?
So I was born in New Mexico, but I lived there until I was like a year and a half old. So I don't really claim New Mexico. I grew up in North Idaho, way up by. If anyone knows Idaho, it's near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but it's really near Spokane, Washington. So I was
so
up
you're
there.
at like the tip.
Yeah, way up there in the cold. I was closer to Canada than anything else. So very cold, tiny little ski town called Kellogg. About 1,500 people, 2,000 people in the
Is that
entire
where the
town.
cereal comes from?
It does not. We get that a lot. That's Battle Creek, Michigan.
Okay.
So the fact that I know that, we get that a lot. No, it's named for an old miner,
Okay.
Noah Kellogg, who staked a claim there. So Tiny little ski town. You know, I used to actually go up to the ski hill after school every day. I'd ski right down the back door, right into the back door of my house. So, you know, I grew up under the mountain. 2 feet of snow on the ground all the time. There's a reason I live in Arizona now. It's not that. I don't have to deal with snow. I don't have to deal with black ice. I don't have to deal with the cold.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm down here. But yeah, I lived up in Idaho, went to school in South Dakota, still cold. Moved back to Idaho, and then finally got smart and moved down here.
Very nice. So what'd you come out here for? Was it school? Was it work?
So I was managing a restaurant at the time, and I had a couple of grill cooks who were out, and it was in February, something like that. And like I said, 2 foot of snow on the ground all around me. I was stressing out. I'm on the back doing the grill, doing all of that. And my hostess comes back and hands me a note. And it says, from Aaron, my dear friend Aaron, from Aaron, February 13th, 72 degrees on the back deck drinking a beer. And I was like,
wow.
This, I'm out. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's when I decided I'm going to move to Arizona, because yeah, he was sitting in 72 degrees on the back deck while I was freezing my tail off in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
how about yourself?
I am from San Diego, California, South San Diego, Chula Vista, Otay area. I moved here when I was talking to my mom about this the other day, because there was an argument whether I was 11, 12, 13, or 14. I remember it being 14. She said I was 12. I don't really care. But my dad,
yeah, she has to know.
No, my mom doesn't know the year she graduated high school, which is why I battle her a lot on this stuff. My dad was I give Paul a lot of crap about being old, but my dad was much older when I was born. My dad was over the 60 mark when I was born.
And a couple years older than Paulie.
Yeah, just a couple years. Just a couple, yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
And he was an old Marine. My dad fought in World War II,
Wow.
The Korean War, and he passed away when I was fairly young, 9 years old. My mom tried to make it work in California for a few years, and my mom was a house cleaner. She made a grip of money cleaning. She cleaned rich people's houses. Yeah. Essentially, she was one of the early on employees of Mary Maids before it kind of blew up, and so she made bank, but she couldn't support the family just on her own income. So with my dad's income kind of going away, she moved us back here. My mom's family's all from Arizona, northern Arizona. They're all cowboys and whatnot. So I went from city boy to branding cattle and birthing cows and tying fence and all this
that's extreme.
At like 12, 13, 14 years old. The good thing about that is I learned amazing like being man qualities and father qualities from my grandfather. If it weren't for him and my best friend Sean's dad, Rick, I would not have the internals that I have, because both of them, showed me literally everything about growing up as a young boy without a father, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I graduated high school in northern Arizona and then immediately moved down to Phoenix, just because I'm a city boy. I'm not a country boy.
Get out of there.
Yeah, not a country boy, man. Yeah. But yeah, that's a long story short for me.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that definitely sheds a lot of light. And again, guys, we do this so you can see who the owners of these businesses are. These aren't like, popping up, not to rag on any places like Burger King or anything like that. Every time I turn on, there's a Burger King. But ultimately, these are real people owning these shops, and I try to highlight the West Valley here because as a realtor, I can't say West Side is the best side. It's actually, can't say that. So I'm not going to say that. But ultimately, I want to just highlight our offices over here in the West Valley, and then just showcase some of these business owners here. So I'll have a couple more questions for you guys. I know you guys have a busy day. You got a lot of people coming here. Sure. We have to lock the door, things like that. But is there anything else you guys do outside of work? Like any hobbies you guys have?
I like bourbon. I'll go back to this
bourbon
all the time.
Very nice.
I like my last really time off was like mid-August, and I went to a concert. I went to this festival in Sacramento over the weekend, and I was the designated driver the entire time. Went with 5 other friends, my wife and 4 other friends, and it was insane. bands that I haven't seen in forever. Metallica played a 2-hour set.
Wow.
I'm not a huge Metallica fan, so don't kill me on this. We left an hour and 15 minutes into that because I got sick of Metallica, if that's even possible. But I'm a bourbon guy. I like to sit down and have neat bourbon with a cigar. I'm a big cigar guy. Cigars. Bourbon, that's pretty much all I do outside.
What's your favorite bourbon right now?
Like specialty or like everyday drinker?
Just your favorite. Like if you had a choice of what to go to, like maybe not now, like when you're relaxed, chilling, which one would you pick?
Regular Basil Hayden.
Basil Hayden?
Yeah, Basil Hayden's it's like $28 a bottle. It's made by the Jim Beam distillery, which a lot of people rag on, which I think is completely unfair, because I think Jim Beam is by far better than Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels can kiss my ass. But it's one of those things where what we mixed with the hot Scotchy that day.
Yes.
Costco is now back to having Barton 1792 make select bourbons for Costco. Actually, it was $28 for a single barrel master distiller's pick 1 liter, and I thought it was fantastic.
But so you have to get it up in.
Well, yeah, you have to get it in Vegas. I actually just had a friend text me; he was going to get another bottle. Vegas is out, and now Phoenix has it.
There you go.
So, but apparently Phoenix is out too. But anyway, Barton 1792, who makes Full Proof and all that stuff, they're now making Costco's bourbons, and that's actually a really great one right now. So.
And not sponsored at all, guys. That's coming from the heart.
No.
So.
Yeah, for me, I have a day job, I have a brewery, and I have a 6-year-old, so hobbies and downtime don't exist.
No video games.
But I'm a big sports guy.
Okay.
I love my sports. I'm a huge NFL fan, so I do watch that on my Sundays off. I love video games. I love like Zelda, those kind of games, but I don't get enough time to play them anymore.
Yeah.
I love reading. I don't get enough time to read anymore. So.
Who's your football team?
So don't hate me. I'm from the Northwest, so I'm a Seattle fan. I grew up in the days of Zorn and Largent back in the early '80s, and Dave Craig and the original Kurt Warner and all of that stuff. So
there's a lot of Seahawks fans.
Yeah,
out there,
huge Seahawks fan. That's why he gives me grief.
And what do you usually like? What type of books do you read?
A lot of the the sword and sorcery stuff, the Game of Thrones type stuff.
Dude, that's awesome.
There's a new Amazon series coming out called The Wheel of Time. So I'm deep in those books. I love those books.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is all I have for today. If they wanted to reach out to you or get more information, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Easiest way is our social media, TCBC Beer. So that's the easiest way to reach us. You can always email us, obviously, tcbeerco@gmail.com, or just stop in, say hello. One of us is almost always here.
Definitely stop in and say hello if you have the time. That's by far, face-to-face is by far the best for me.
Yeah.
But social media is also the easiest.
Very nice. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Charles, West USA Realty, Team Minnick, and I'll talk to you guys soon.